to our joint hearing between the Senate Economic Development, Housing and General Affairs Committee and House of Commerce. It is great to have you all here. I'm Allison Clarkson. I chair Senate Economic Development, and to my right.
I'm Mike Marcotte, State Representative from Coventry, and I chair House Commerce and Economic Development.
And we'll all introduce ourselves, but we just want to know how welcome you are. You are our partners in economic development, and we depend on you. We're proud of you. We are your cheerleaders in the State House and advocates for all things, from all tax credits, any incentive, any piece of business that we can help enable. We try to do so even a very tight and lean year. So it is great to have you. We look forward to listening to you and hearing both your triumphs and your challenges and needs. And we'll try as best we can to respond to them. So anything else? Is that good? Why don't we start with Michael? Why don't you introduce our committees?
Michael Wooten, Berry City.
Herb Olson, Bristol, Lincoln, Moncton, Starksville on the Congress.
I'm Tom Chittenden. I represent the southeast area of Chittenden County.
Morning, I'm Jonathan Cooper, Southwestern Vermont, the Bennington 1 District, live in Pownell, represented proudly by Southwest Tech, our CTE Center.
Good morning, Senator David Weeks, representing Rutland County.
Allison Clarkson, representing the Windsor District.
Mike Marcotte, I represent Orleans Memorial.
Hi, Edie Granning, representing Jericho and Underhill, serving on House Commerce.
Kirk White, representing Bethel, Rochester, Stockbridge, Hancock, and also House Commerce.
Emily Karras Duncan, House Commerce, Wilmington, Whitingham, and Halifax.
I'm Tony Miklas. I represent the Route 7 corridor of Milton and a little bit of Georgia. I'm on House Commerce.
Representative Dave Bosch from Clarendon, representing Wallingford, Clarendon, West Rutland, and the larger portion of Rutland Town on House Commerce.
I am happy to have it. Also on House. Great. And with that, Amy, why don't you come and join us and you're our host of the day. Come and kick us off.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Amy Spear. I'm the president of the Vermont Chamber of Commerce. I first want to thank Senator Clarkson and Representative Marcotte for hosting this joint hearing today. Manufacturing is so important to our economy, and the work that you're doing in your committees supports the industry. I also want to acknowledge Representative Cooper, who is the champion of Manufacturing Day in the State House. So lots of champions in the room. Appreciate all of your time today. I'm going to be brief in my remarks because the focus is really on the industry, but I thought it would be helpful to set the stage just slightly on some data about manufacturing in Vermont. So the data that you're about to see comes from the Vermont Futures Project and federal sources. It reflects both where we are today and what's significant about our future trajectory, because ultimately economic outcomes are often the result of policy choices, just as Senator Clarkson alluded to a moment ago. So first, when we look at the economic composition, if you look at Vermont's economy today, manufacturing remains a strong contributor, as shown on this slide. It represents over $3.3 billion in GDP and roughly 7% of our economy. But here's the key point here. 10 years ago, manufacturing ranked closer to the top of that list. Today, we're seeing faster growth in sectors like government and healthcare. And those sectors are important for the Vermont economy, but they do function very differently. They are largely funded by dollars that are already in our system. So when we look at our 10-year in review, manufacturing is different. It brings in new money into Vermont. It exports, it competes globally, it grows the economic pie rather than redistributing it. So to be clear, manufacturing has grown, but it has not grown at the same pace as other sectors, which means over time, it becomes a smaller share of our economy, and that matters because the sectors that scale and export are the ones that drive long-term economic growth for our state. When we look to our workforce, this is manufacturing employment by month, now shifting to from economic output to employment, because this is where the signal becomes even more urgent when we're looking at this chart. Manufacturing employment in Vermont has declined 11.3% since Q1 of 2020. And Vermont is one of only a small number of states to see this. And we're projected to see continued decline in manufacturing employment over the next decade. What's more, we've already reached that projected decline that was the 10-year projection right now. I think what's important here that I want to focus on is when we talk about investing in automation in the state of Vermont, it's saving jobs, it's saving our workforce, it's making manufacturing more resilient. So if you're looking at maybe high workplace incidences where there might be automation installed, or it allows expansion and contraction without expansion and contraction of your workforce. So, manufacturing in our state, I want to make it clear here, is it's not just another sector, it's a sustainable source of revenue, wages, and opportunity for Vermont. Something important that I want to flag here is research and development. There was a research and development tax credit expansion that moved in H 933. And I think I want to emphasize here and just take a little bit of pause, because now this is not a story of decline without opportunity. Where there's opportunity for our state is in research and development in particular. It's a story of under-realized potential, because when we look at wage growth, the strongest wages are in industries that scale, export, and bring in new dollars to the economy. And importantly, the desire to do that and to expand is already here. This shows that Vermont is investing in R&D, but we're not yet leading. It tells us that the foundation exists, the demand exists, and the opportunity exists. Now it's really all about alignment. R&D helps companies to scale. A lot of R&D expenditures are in people. It's the people that are developing the products. So supporting research and development is a really important thing for the manufacturing industry. Now, I do want to take a moment just to talk a little bit about competitiveness before I wrap this up, because growth does not happen in a vacuum. It happens within a policy environment. And right now, Vermont ranks among the highest states in the country for taxes per capita. At the same time, through our business climate survey, we consistently hear concerns about cost pressures, workforce availability, housing, and regulatory predictability, which is why the work of both of these committees is so important to this industry, because you're looking for ways to support the industry, and what you do can really impact all four of those pressures that people are facing. Just to wrap things up, we want to grow manufacturing in Vermont, but we also must be competitive. So what this means for the industry and what you'll hear today, it's lowering barriers to growth, it's creating predictability and supporting the industries that expand our economy. So I'll close with just this remark, and then we'll move on to the next person here today. Manufacturing is not just a part of Vermont's economy, it's one of our most important economic engines as a state. The data is clear. We have opportunity as a state, reverse our current trends, to scale what's working in our state and to build an economy that is growing, not just circulating. So thank you, committees, for your time and your leadership today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Amy. Next, we'll be hearing from Amy. Otto.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us. My name is Ben Bristow. I'm the operations manager at Nolato, down in Royalton and Bethel, Vermont.
I'm Amy Larkin. I'm the human resources manager.
We had the pleasure of touring your facility last. We'd be there.
Welcome anytime.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
we
had a
had
great
some-
time.
Yeah,
It was great.
we had a very good turnout for National Manufacturing Day as well. I think we had well over 100 people come through, and it was
Right.
everyone was very surprised and happy to see what we're doing in the local area. So yeah, we got some slides. I'll keep it brief on what we do, just to kind of give some background on what we're making in Vermont, and then get into some of the things that are great and some of the things that we're struggling with, and then perhaps take any questions. So yeah, Nolato, biggest thing, Nolato is formerly GW Plastics. I'll get into more details there, but people might be more familiar with that name than they are with Nolato Vermont. But we have been here about 70 years in the state of Vermont. So quickly on Nolato, we are a Swedish publicly traded company, focusing in the polymer industries. mainly making things in both industrial and medical. You'll see highlighted here, we are 100%, almost 100% exclusively medical at Nolato, Vermont. Nolato overall was founded in 1938. We have over 5,700 employees worldwide, 3 continents and 12 countries. Specifically, Nolato, Vermont, as I said, we were founded in 1955 as GW Plastics. We were under the same private ownership from 1983 until 2020 when we were acquired by Nolato. The best thing about that acquisition is I can say Nolato is a manufacturer. They were not bottling us up to buy us and sell us off. They made products that we do. We simply expanded their North American footprint. You know, they didn't want to, you know, package us up. They wanted someone to do more North American business in the same industry, which is very good. You know, it's the good acquisition to have. As I said, we specialize in injection molding of both plastic and silicone, serving the medical industry. We're part of Nolato's Medical Solutions Group. At Nolato, we're what's known as a custom manufacturer and molder, meaning we don't own the products we sell. We're being hired by the OEMs, the big medical companies, to make a piece for them that they're going to put in their device. And then we focus on high volume, long life medical products. And when I say long life, it doesn't mean they're reusing the syringe. It's that device is not going to be redesigned every year. You know, it's not an iPhone case that changes every year. It's when they design this, it goes through the FDA. These products we're going to manufacture for 10, 20. I think some of the molds we have are 40 years old. You know, these parts stay in the industry. And for a little bit of scale, in 2025, we produced 1.2 billion pieces. So 1.2 billion parts came out of our facility in 2025, our facilities. Some numbers. So we have 24/7 production supported by 4 12-hour shifts, approximately 350 employees right now, with roles ranging anywhere from entry-level operators up to senior level engineers and leadership. 2 production facilities in Bethel and Royalton, only about 5 miles from each other. 110 production cells. And in 2025, we did about 92.5 million in revenue and about $20 million is paid out in wages, people in Vermont. Quickly, this is kind of where Nolato fits in the medical device industry. If you look at it as a stream where the OEM designs the product, we're pretty much the next step where they come to us and say, now we need these little pieces of plastic, silicone, whatever it is to go into our device. That's where Nolato Vermont fits. Then it's sent off to someone else who makes the final assembly. Nolato does do assemblies, but right now we're not doing them in Vermont, but not saying that's not something we wouldn't explore in the future. Very brief, injection molding is simply we're taking silicone on that upper left corner there, which is very similar to what you buy in the store to put around your windows or your tub. We're injecting it at high pressure, heating it, and it becomes a solid rubber product. Or plastic, we're melting it, doing the same thing, injecting it at high pressure to make a product as well. So that's just very quickly, what is injection molding? After this, I think it's always interesting to pick some devices that people might know and see that we do make right here in Vermont. So this first one here is an insulin pump for diabetes. You'll see it there in front of that phone. The parts on the left side are all made right in Vermont and then shipped to the final manufacturer to make that device. This is another one where we make parts and that's actually final assembled in our Arizona facility. But this is obviously a nebulizer mainly for asthma, but oral medications. This one, hopefully you don't see it that much, but these are surgery devices. We make a lot of the handles that go to the minimally invasive surgery, robotics type stuff that a lot of surgeries are done with today. So these are 2-shot, pad printed, high technology molding. This here is another one you probably wouldn't see, but if you have a dog or a cat, it's probably been used. So on the left side are all the pieces we make. This goes to a company in Maine. It's great because it's a short commute. We use reusable packaging back and forth. But this is a diagnostic test for dogs, cats, veterinarians. And we were at Vermont State College for a career day, and it didn't even click that all the veterinarian schools were there. And they said, why do you guys have those on your table? And we said, oh, well, we make them right here. So it was a fun connection in Vermont to realize, you know, that we make those here. This one, Soothie pacifier, I do complain this is the one finished part we make. It's pure silicone, so this is a pacifier for babies. Generally, you see these a lot in hospitals, but I'll go to the local Shaw's here and see, and I can tell by the cavity ID that we've made that in our facility. I can tell you exactly where it was made. And it's cool to see that our products on the shelves as well. Last one here, we do make the plastic containers for some contact lens packaging. So this is a daily contact lens. We make that. That's a very high cavitation, high speed, millions of parts per week going out the door. So next, some of the highlights with our business. We are a very large percentage of North American sales for Nolato. Like I said, we do about 92.5 million in sales. Nolato global is about $1 billion. So even in the grand scheme of things, we're close to 10% of Nolato. So Vermont's important to them. You know, these factories are important to Nolato. Good thing is we have a long history. You know, we've supported local jobs in the area for many years. I think there's been multiple generations of some families that have worked at Nolato, formerly GW Plastics. As much as that's a highlight, it can also be a challenge too, but it's a good highlight that we like to point out. And another very good highlight is we're almost 100% focused on the medical market. You know, we're not making consumer goods that are going to ebb and flow. These medical products are here to stay. Medical companies don't like moving their manufacturing. It's not easy. There's a lot of validation. There's a lot of work. So it's very good for stability that we need for consistent sales and growth opportunities. Getting into some of the challenges, staffing and retention. You know, we have a 12-hour shift in a rural location. There's not a lot of, I don't see a lot of other 12-hour shifts around where we are. And we've talked about, you know, do we go to 8-hour shifts and do all these things? And it struggles because when you do that, I need to build more teams of people. So in reality, you end up needing more people, you know, on your total staff. Relocation for more urban areas is challenging for out-of-state candidates. I've found very much, you know, when someone on the phone says, oh yeah, I want to be more rural, I don't think they're picturing Bethel and Royalton as rural. It's a little disheartening when on basically the first interview, I'm telling out-of-state candidates, go on Zillow, go on apartments.com, whatever it is, and make sure you're happy with the housing here, you know? And it's hard enough after just the first interview before they even come on site to kind of direct them to have to do that. And another challenge, we are within a 30-minute commute of Lebanon, New Hampshire area. There's a lot of industry down there. And there's generally, I mean, you saw the graphic seems to be generally tax implications are lower, which makes it hard to drag people or bring people up to the Vermont side. The next one I'd say is it's a challenge, but also a very big opportunity, is a new leadership team. There's been a lot of new faces. I mean, as GW Plastics left, so did the old leadership, and maybe the faces you guys knew. So over the last 3 years, that's really changed. But I think opportunities like this are great. You know, I hear about a lot of programs and we need to make sure that we're engaging with them. It is nice to say there's a lot more familiar faces when I come here today than when I came here last time. You know, people have come to our business. So like I said, I see this more as an opportunity, less of a challenge, but it's a kind of one of the things that we realized 2 or 3 years ago to say, hey, we need to make that connection at the state again, that I think was there for many years. The next one, expansion. Physical limitations, and that's kind of unique to, I guess, maybe the land we have, but I think Vermont land in general it can be tricky to expand quickly. Cost, and this is where being a global company, our counterparts in Wisconsin expanded, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and we made a proposal to our team in Sweden, and the cost per square footage was just, they couldn't even consider it when they see those two things on the paper, you know, so. And when they step back and not saying Vermont, Wisconsin, they're going to say, well, we're going to expand here, you know. And what are the drivers of that? I don't know the exact details, but the numbers are the numbers when you bring it up to people outside of the state. Regulations, this is another one where we did look at a recent expansion, and I'm looking at the details of where it comes from, but I know we were limited on building size due to fire code. Otherwise, you have to put in a firewall, which can be greatly increase your cost, or a whole separate building. But there was a regulation on how big the square footage could be. And like I said, I am kind of digging into if that's more local municipality or state, but did inhibit some expansion for us. And then a big one, with expansion comes increased staffing. There was a project, I would say 3 or 4 years ago, that Nolato Sweden was looking to put in Vermont, but it would need 200 more heads to make the products. It was, you know, very big, high volume, automatic assembly, and it went to Hungary just because to think about adding 200 jobs in that area in a short period of time, which it needed to be, was not really feasible. But And the other one, last one, plastics regulation. I say this is potential because I will give credit. People have reached out to me when there's a new regulation possibly coming down the line to ban a certain plastic. I would just make the point to say, think about the use cases as well. I don't see the medical industry getting away from plastic very quickly. There's reasons why it's very valuable in medical. I'm not saying I'm not opposed to less plastic, but basically it's nice to keep it in mind that, there are industries in Vermont that make medical products with different plastics, and that sweeping regulations could hurt us as well. So that's everything I've prepared. Once again, thank you for having us. Open to any questions on more details, and I can try and provide some as well, but thank you very much.
Well, Amy's here, and Amy's the head of HR, and we do workforce. Our two committees are a big piece of our jurisdiction is workforce. I think we maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I think we'd love to hear just a little bit more about how we, with our involvement with career and technical education and our Vermont State University and all the certification for all the programs that we help oversee and can help work on. Where can we help you there in particular?
Well, I think as Ben said, right, a lot of this is new leadership. So there's programs out there, and I just feel like having the connection and the outreach would be really important because we don't know exactly what's available, right? So I think that would be our first step. We've definitely talked to you guys before and you've put some things out there, but just having kind of a point person would be really helpful. We have worked with the local community. We have had programs at Vermont State University. We put employees through a manufacturing leadership program, and that's been really successful. We are working with them right now to tweak it a little bit to make it, maybe more towards specific areas that people can do instead of a general class. I know we've had some outreach with UVM as well. There's just a lot right now, and we're just kind of trying to piece it together.
So we can work on that offline, but as you may or may not know, we've created the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development. They should be your point person for all things workforce and are meant to be sort of the czars of workforce for the state. So I would hope that you could create a connection with Sabina Haskell or Drake Turner to establish that, and then they can help you direct you to whatever you need. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I think those programs are great and definitely encouraging and training technical people. I think another thing we have to realize is a large part of our workforce, they are entry-level operators. They really, when you have 5 operators call out sick, it decimates the shift. So I think it's part of both bringing up the technical side, but also we got to remember the base of our workforce is, the hourly wage people as well.
I think that's maybe your local regional tech center can help you with that.
Yeah.
I know previously that EW Plastics used to have students from the Career Center come in and work the line as well. So kind of an apprenticeship type thing.
Because you have Hartford and Randolph close by and of course River Valley, 3 great tech centers.
Right. We do have an engineering manager who is working with the state currently to kind of reinstitute a apprenticeship program for our tool division.
Yeah, well, and that's Jay Ramsey at Department of Labor. He's all of great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Julie, Dave before. Built by Newport.
And your parts.
It is.
All these teams.
Partners everywhere.
Partners everywhere. It's great. It takes a team.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Dave LaForce. I am co-owner of Built by Newport in Newport, Vermont.
Julie LaForce, owner, business partner.
Husband, wife.
Husband, wife.
And still married.
It's still married. So Built by Newport's a family business that's located on the shores of Lake Memphremagog in Newport, and it was started in 1963 by my father. Over the last 63 years, our business has needed to shift in order to stay relevant and actually stay in business. For many years, we were known for our glider rocker business, which many of you might know of. I think pretty much every household in Vermont has probably owned one of our glider rockers. And we were the first large-scale US manufacturer of glider rockers back in the late 70s, and we were the last large-scale US glider rocker manufacturer in the US. Unfortunately, imports, competition from overseas destroyed that business for us, so we had to close that in 2014. Today, 70% of our business is fully assembled finished furniture, and 30% of it is furniture components that we supply to other furniture companies throughout the United States. We strategically, over the last 10 years, have become a really diverse company as far as fully assembled furniture. We discovered early in our years that having more than one line of business in our facility really was impactful for us to keep our workforce, and it really helps us on downturns economically when things go south. Usually one line goes up and one line goes down. So today we make dining chairs, accent seating, accent tables, mirrors, table bases, wood lamps, believe it or not, shelving and case good products such as storage cabinets.
So thank you for hearing our story here today too. Dave and I he's been in this business a lot longer than I have. I've joined him about 11 years ago now, so we've been partnered and still going strong since then. My role is overseeing leadership development and human resources. We have 60, it's interesting, we were founded in 63. We have 63 team members, and this is our 63rd year. So kind of an interesting fact right now. Our team members are our number one priority. We put a lot of emphasis on that. I like to say we're a small business in some ways, but I think that we're really sort of mighty in our contribution to the community and to the state as well. We put a lot of focus on providing really great jobs, not only in the work that they do, but also in the whole for the employee. So we work with a lot of partners. We work with a company called IHMS for physical therapy. So they do job safety analysis for us. They come on site twice a month to work and interact with all of our team members and assess what they're doing, support them, provide some therapy if needed on site. We also work with an occupational health provider in our town of Newport. So we take October and we call that our health day, or health month actually. So we partner with them to come in and sort of provide just some sort of health coaching for all of our team members as well there. They do evaluations, and we want to ensure that, just an opportunity for them to check in. And again, we're really focused on the well-being of the whole employee. Another piece that we do is we work with Merrill Lynch for our 401k program, which we're really proud of. And there's another resource that we bring on site during the day. So each of our team members can sit with them privately for 15 to 30-minute conversation and get some information about what they could do to help provide more stability and for their finances. They even talk about just anything we can provide for more coaching and education that can support their lives.
In 1994, my uncle, Larry Daniel, some of you know, was our operations manager. And he had a vision that if we didn't bring in technology into our company, we wouldn't survive. So he went on the hard challenge of convincing my father and his business partner that we had to buy this CNC machine. So that year we did purchase our first CNC machine. It was a huge expense. It was $300,000. And it was a game changer for our company.
And CNC stands for?
Computerized numeric controller. So basically they're large machines that run from code that are generated from computers. Before we brought these machines in, all of our work was done by hand. So it was very dangerous work. We had exposed blades and tools that made it a really dangerous job. And this technology made our facility much safer. and also allowed us to grow, and not only grow our company, but grow the skill sets of our employees. Today, we have 11 of those machines in our facility. I can say from my travels that we're probably one of the highest technical furniture companies in the United States. And they're the heartbeat of our organization. They produce perfect parts. And then we have craftsmen in our assembly areas that produce beautiful furniture from perfect parts. Many people today say that technology removes jobs. I couldn't agree with that statement at all. It's really elevated our business and really kept us alive. And like I mentioned earlier, it's really elevated our team's skill set and has allowed us to increase wages, increase benefits, and provide better jobs for our community. Over the last 10 years, there's been a real big shift in the market. The machines are getting more and more technical. The safety standards are getting higher. Think of it as your car. It's hard to find a mechanic that can work on any vehicle today. The machines are no different. And what's been challenging across the US is all of these distributors that sell this equipment can't find technicians to support the machines that they sell. Nobody today wants to be 24/7 on the road, away from their families. So what we've had to do internally is train all our team members to self-support our needs. So to address this, today our maintenance team can pretty much diagnose and fix 95% of our issues internally. Our teams install our own equipment. Their skill set's so high that most times their skill sets are higher than the technicians that work at these companies. And we're at the point now we're actually building equipment in-house as well. So we just recently did a large project where we converted 3 of our older machines to all new technology, new motors, new wiring, new controls, and everything was done in-house, which has also elevated the skill sets of our maintenance team as well. The other thing that we've done that we started many years ago is we actually write and develop all our own software internally as well. So our entire ERP system has been built and written by our team in-house. And what that's done is it allows us to quickly shift our systems, production, because everything's handled in-house. We don't have to pay hundreds of dollars to hire outside firms to do this highly technical work. We do it ourselves. So that's been a big shift for us, and it's really allowed us to grow.
I think that sort of in that same theme, was asked about CTE. That same theme, I think of problem solving as much as possible for ourselves and being as independent as we can. I think that we've done put a lot of energy in getting more involved with our local career center, which has been a huge win for us. It's a fantastic resource for us. We've been, partnering with them for years and tried to really sort of, stay current and be as involved as possible. But in these last, I would say 5 years, I think we've put the most emphasis ever on it. I actually serve on the regional advisory board there.
I just heard that.
Yes. And then we have 3 of our team members from Built by Newport that we have on various program advisory committees as well. I, feel like that's not one of our greatest hurdles, if I'm honest. Working with the Career Center is an absolute pleasure, and they're a wonderful resource to us. I feel like they're always welcoming as much, from us as possible. We have students come and do shadow days, which, our team is more than happy and excited to welcome them and provide whatever, experience we can for them. And that varies. Some students, it could just be a few days. Others, it might be, for over the span of several weeks that they may come for a few days a week. And then we've had a lot of students that we have hired from the Career Center. I think there was an old model where we felt like when we brought on a team member, it needed to be, this is their career forever. I've recognized that we serve a role for a lot of different types of folks, right? There are some students that come out of school and they're not sure what they want to do yet. And we provide a wonderful opportunity for them to gain some skills, not only in manufacturing, but also just in employment, right? And what it's like to have that kind of structure. So that's been great. And with our continuing path with technology, you know, the program aligns perfectly with us. I'm always impressed with what the faculty and the staff are doing there at the Career Center. And really, I'm just looking to expand that a little bit further out, work a little bit more tightly with some of the other high schools as well.
Speak about the project.
Yeah, and actually, I know we were highlighted for the coolest thing made in Vermont, one of the project that they did for us. So yeah, I just definitely want to do a shout out to the students there. One of the students that participated on that project was a blow off system for our CNC machines. Is actually going to be doing a seasonal employment for us this summer. So great connection.
That was a graduate out of that program. I didn't go to college, so a lot of my skill sets came out of that Career Center and was the foundation to a lot of what we do today. So I have a lot of respect for that program. As far as our needs, I do want to start by saying, you know, COVID was a tough time for us. We were closed for 3 months. Honestly, we thought we were going to go out of business. But I'm sure many of you were probably involved in a lot of the grants that were provided during COVID. I just want to say a huge thank you. Those were instrumental for our business. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of you that were part of that, because it definitely helped us a lot. I do want to say that, you know, there's a lot of good that comes out of Montpelier, and I think there's a lot of great initiatives, but when those initiatives aren't looked at together, they can have a real big impact on businesses. So each goal of each committee, if not put together, have, you know, could have huge ramifications. There's just two that come to mind. One is the child care tax that was recently passed. Totally agree with the benefit of what that brings. But in my 35 years of being in this business, I have not seen the escalation of fixed costs that we've experienced in the last 3 years. It's absolutely insane. Between property tax, electrical costs, insurance, health insurance. It's been a huge challenge to manage that because our industry, we still compete with overseas. So we can't simply just pass on fixed cost increases to our customers. So we have to figure out internally how to become more efficient to absorb those costs. So when the child care tax came in, it seems like a small number, but when we're faced with all these massive fixed cost increases and you add that to the top, it just magnifies things even more. Another thing that comes to mind is the 3-acre rule. You know, that came to a surprise for us. We're fortunate because we would have been faced with costs in excess of $200,000 to put a system in. Fortunately for us, our site was too small to put that system in. So now we just have to pay a penalty, which is still significant. I think it's not over yet, but it's going to be about $50,000. So when you add all these costs, they're all good things. I agree with that. But they just really hurt us as a business. So it's a real challenge. And then lastly, I'll just say, you know, technology, as you've heard, is a big piece to us. It's allowed us to really increase our wages, increase our benefits, but it's expensive. You know, training, we've done a really good job internally because we've had to. You know, on average, it takes us about 45 days to hire one person. We put a lot of time up front to make sure that we don't have high turnover. Happy to say 2 years ago, our turnover was only 7%. So we work really hard to keep our people and treat them well. But we do need the technology. So if there's any assistance we would need, you know, the grants, like I said, through COVID were phenomenal in allowing us to, you know, up our equipment needs so we could meet demand and volume. If there's anything that can be done to support equipment in the future for us, that would be a game changer. So that's all we got. We'll take questions if you have them, but we thank you for the opportunity.
I have a question for you. Where do you source your wood? How do you partner with our wood forest products industry?
So we have an interesting model because back in 2000, we started a new facility in North Troy to do one process, which is just simply making solid wood panels and dimensional lumber. You know, and at that time, we were sourcing a lot of our lumber locally and Quebec. so regionally. 2008 happened. 75% of our customers at that facility went out of business. So we had to shut that company down. And at that point, our factory in Newport was set up in that process where we were outsourcing our materials from that facility. So we continued that on with other suppliers. So today we work with suppliers in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and upstate New York that supply pretty much all of our hardwood lumber. Our industry has really become segregated because of the technology. It's difficult for a lot of companies to do everything. So we're experts in CNCing and machining parts. It's companies that are experts in making wood panels and dimensional lumber and moldings because everything's gotten so expensive to support businesses. So we are trying to look a little bit more regional, but unfortunately, there's just not a lot of companies in Vermont that do the things that we need done.
Species is a challenge too.
Species is a big challenge. Yeah, exactly. So.
Talk about the repairs you have to make to the machines and having a hard time finding technicians to come and do that. We have a number of right to repair bills that sit on our file. We've had a lot of discussions about that. Is that an issue for you working with companies that have built your machines?
It's starting to be, especially because we're so custom in our facility. We customize everything. It was a limitation on when we went out 4 years ago to source a new machine that we wanted. A lot of the companies that we were working with had their controllers locked down. So there was no way for us. So we strategically picked a company that allowed us to go in, but I have a feeling that that's going to be changing soon. So yes, that could be a huge issue for us. You know, this equipment's really expensive. The machine that we first bought in 1994, we converted to new technology. So we kept that machine running all those years because we could fix it. And they are strategically changing that so you can't fix it.
That's how it is. But how great that you changed, trained these technicians, right? There are other places in Vermont that use those machines and you can outsource your technician, create another source of earned revenue.
Right.
Oh, Emily.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I am curious about what species of wood do you normally deal with?
So our number one species today is walnut.
We don't grow a lot.
We don't, but that's changing because of the price of lumber, especially walnut and white oak. A lot of our customer base now is turning back to red oak, which I never thought I'd see. Red oak used to be the number one species in the 80s. So when any house that was built in the 80s in the cabinets, kitchen cabinets will be red oak.
In the floors.
And honestly, that is a good thing because that's going to allow us to go more local.
Great.
So we're actually pretty excited about that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we need to, so Kevin Moyer, thank you
Thank you.
thank you so much, David.
Absolutely.
And Kevin Moyer, wherever you are, thank you for stepping in.
Sure.
Because we have a witness shift. Introduce yourself and tell us what business you have, because we don't have that here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kevin Moyer. I'm the owner of Vermont Frames and Foam Laminates of Vermont. We are a timber frame and structural insulated panel manufacturer located in Starksboro, Vermont, down in Madison County. Been there since 1976. So please come and join us this summer for our 50th anniversary. We'll be inviting the whole community for that.
You might have to turn that microphone on.
That microphone actually isn't a microphone so much.
We have some back here.
It's, you just have to, that's.
I should just speak louder.
Oh, God, that's
Okay.
great.
Let's see if my slides came through. There we go. That's us.
Right.
Okay. So there's a picture of what we do. So we're both a manufacturer and a subcontractor in the construction world. There we are in Starksboro. 4 teams, 28 people doing design, fabrication and usually the installation of the timber frame and the panels on job sites ranging from Maine to New Jersey. We do about 50 to 60 projects a year, mostly housing, some barns, some pavilions. Just built a pretty cool outdoor classroom for the Vermont Common School down in Charlotte. So different configurations we can work in, whether it's just the timber frame or just the panels, whether it's an install project or a kit. Just a quick visual of what that looks like on a job site for us and the general contractors and builders we partner with and the architects that we partner with to create these structures. Zooming out, mission of the company is to build great homes for people and great careers for our team. I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak to you today. Vermont's a beautiful place. I love being here. There are some aspects that are awesome about doing business in Vermont. There's also some challenges. I definitely appreciate the folks here who are supporting S313, the community, the career technical education centers, the CTEs in the state are awesome. We love hiring graduates from there. And I would ask that you all do whatever you can to support that bill and any other bills that can elevate, highlight, showcase, celebrate careers in manufacturing and craftsmanship in the trades. We need those folks. We host probably 4 to 5 high school wood shops a year in our shop, give them a little bit of hands-on time with tools. We just actually hosted Otter Valley High School yesterday, about 20 folks in there playing with chain mortiser and circular saws and learning what a mortise and tenon joint is and how that goes together. So it's fun to bring those folks in, and it's encouraging to see. I talk to the shop teachers when they come in and I ask them how many folks are signed up for your class. They're like, oh, I'm oversubscribed, which is like really encouraging to see folks wanting to take wood shop and metal shop and learn to make things again. So that's great. A couple other slides in here I'll just get through really quickly. That's the shop drawings we generate for our timber frames. That's our timber shop. Still doing things the old fashioned way. A lot of admiration for technology and CNCs. We are at the other end of that spectrum. We're about as low tech as you can get. We are hand laying out, hand cutting joinery, and putting big beams together. You were asking about wood species earlier. We work predominantly with Eastern white pine that comes out of Vermont, New York, New Hampshire, very local, very sustainably sourced. We do also work with Douglas fir from our friends in Canada. Those are predominantly what we work with. We do some hemlock and some red oak as well. And then there's our panel shop where we're creating those structural insulated panels to create that shell that gives you a really energy efficient house. And that's what we look like in the field, putting up a timber frame. And going for full-time, long-term, year-round employment. So that does mean we work through the winter. I know there was some language about extreme heat and extreme cold that was being floated around. This isn't possible if that kind of thing passes. And I very much want to be a 12-month-a-year employer to my whole team. So we do have to be able to build outdoors all year round. We're very safe. We take breaks when needed. We don't have any cold and heat injuries, So that's the goal there. More photos of our shop and some of the trusses. That was for a summer camp over in New York. Big set of trusses for their dining hall panel with some windows cut out of it. So just to give you a sense of what we do. And then that's the joinery up in the air. There's a little bit of a lag here, it seems like, from the left. There you go. Some of the other bills before you that I would ask you to support that PACE bill for commercial industrial projects. 2 years ago, we looked at getting solar and batteries into our facilities so we could be more green, use less oil and less energy, and be more environmentally friendly. It ended up being $125,000 for us to do that, and just couldn't make that work at the time. So bills like that help small businesses like ours and really do factor into decision making for how we think about those kind of major investments. Supporting the employment growth incentive and repealing that sunset with S327, helping employers like me onboard and training, bring up future timber framers, future panel technicians, future crane operators who can help us build the housing we need in the state. When I zoom out and look at our business and where we're headed and the challenges we face, it's really people, and then where do those people live? And then the actual space for us to grow. We're on 2.5 acres in Starksboro. Unfortunately, we are entirely landlocked by a farm that is in the Vermont Land Trust. The farmer wants to sell me an acre or two out of 200. I want to buy it. And unfortunately, the Vermont Land Trust has said no to that. So I can't grow. I could probably create 5 or 10 more jobs in rural Vermont pretty quickly if I had a little bit more facility space to buy a little bit of land and put another warehouse in there and build more housing for Vermonters. It's a pain point. Very much respect the goals there of what the Vermont Land Trust is here to do and admire that.
How recently was that decision made by that board?
Here we
That's too bad.
It's pretty painful, but we are looking at other options. So we'll see what we can do. But I would like to grow. I would like to build more housing, create more jobs. So that's a pain point. Certainty, as some of the other folks here have been testifying today, businesses, when we're looking at making investments, whether it's research and development to develop a new type of panel for housing that has to go to a lab, and there could be a 5 or even a 6-figure cost associated with testing that panel in a laboratory. So the R&D tax credits really do help and do factor into turning a no into a yes when you're doing that ROI analysis as a business. Overall, this growth in general, this summer went through an endeavor to build three-sided storage sheds on already impermeable land at our facility, basically just trying to get raw materials covered from the rain and sun. No electricity, no plumbing, no added impermeable. Took 6 months, $3,000 and 5 Vermont state agencies to get an approval for that. Pretty painful. Again, I'm lucky I have enough staff that I can just power through that and get over those hurdles. But I can imagine smaller, but we're only 28 people, so we're pretty small, but we could do it. I imagine some even smaller businesses in Vermont would look at that set of hurdles and say, not worth it. I won't do it. So again, a lot of well-intentioned regulation that's good for the environment. I want to be able to swim in Lake Champlain. I get why we have stormwater runoff rules. Making that make a little more sense and factoring in the economic impacts of that, the business impacts of that, so that it's done in a wise way and doesn't drive too much cost such that the project doesn't pencil and the business doesn't grow, the jobs don't get created, the homes don't get built, and we stagnate. So that's the goal there. One other thing to keep in mind too, especially with heavy machinery, diesel is really the only way some of this stuff gets done. I love battery technology, battery electric vehicles that very much support going in that direction over the long term. But when you're operating a 28-ton crane and lifting up a 5,000-pound set of timbers, a diesel motor and a hydraulic system is probably the only way you're doing that on the side of a mountain or out in a rural area. So there's still some use cases for diesel heavy equipment that we just need to make sure we have some thoughtful exceptions for these otherwise very good vehicle efficiency mandates that I see people pushing for, which I support overall. I'd love to have a hybrid electric, diesel electric fleet of vehicles. And as soon as GM makes that truck, I'll buy 5 of them, but we're not there yet. You just think about what the industry can keep up with, what the manufacturing base can keep up with changes over time. I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yes, Jonathan.
So thanks very much, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Here, I was curious with your 28 individual staff. Can you give me some idea about median age and tenure? How long people have been there?
Great question. I'd say there's a gap. We have about half of them that are probably north of 50 years old, and then the other half are under 30. There was a really just total drop in. We're still feeling the effects of 2008 and all the carpenters who got out of construction in 2008 and never came back, and they're doing something else now. And my probably number one focus as an owner right now is recruiting and retention and career path and developing the future timber framers and builders who are going to keep this craft alive and keep it going. Yeah. Thanks.
I just want to ask everybody a question in here. How many of you know if you have a question or if you are looking for a grant, low cost money, questions about permitting, how many of you know where to go and how to find those answers?
That's not great.
No, but it's really helpful for us to know that. So we appreciate your honesty there.
That was.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
No, this is very important because one of the things we're looking at is looking at all stages of business development, from startups to early stage to maturing to mature. And we're looking at all the resources we currently offer and what are the gaps? What do we need to offer? And how are we communicating it? How are we marketing all these incredible resources that we have? which we actually have quite a few. And that was a very discouraging response that one of you raised your hand. So that supports the fact that we do this work big time.
You have one.
I know one. Our water bots are
Pretty low
our water, no,
No, CAD models.
that's right. Right. Okay. We sadly have to go back to our committee work. We hope you have a fabulous day here at the State House. You're also, as you know, we're all accessible. One of the things you didn't talk about was how one of the great pluses of Vermont is the accessibility of the lawmakers to you. And that is in other states, they, people work from in other states say, wow, you are so accessible. And of course we are. So be in touch and let us know how we can continue to help you in significant ways. Thank you very much. Thank you, Amy and Chamber.
All right, folks, Megan Sullivan with the Vermont Chamber. So our wonderful committees, thank you so much for your time. They're going to head back and do